Hey guys, Paul McLean here. Welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Podcast 2023. Happy New Year. And really today's edition, guys, I want to do my best to pour into you to really kind of help give you some framework to make 2023 the best year yet. In fact, that's been the purpose of this podcast, is to help you level up your life, level up your career, give you some practical things to go out there and take it to the next level. And we've had guests on it the entire year, really kind of unpacking those things, guys, to give you the right thought process, a higher level thought process to take it to the next level. And so today, I want to really talk about how to take the most from 2022, how to put together some good, clear goals, right? The framework, the structure, the game plan to go out there and ensure that this year is a transformational year. I talked about this with a couple different groups the last, 4 or 5 days. And really what we were talking about is the fact that you got to first believe and expect that this is your year, right? I can tell you this with absolute certainty. One of the, greatest benefits that I have being in this company for so long and working with some phenomenal people, phenomenal leaders, phenomenal, organizations, is I get to kind of have this vantage point to see what's working, what's not working. I get to see, agents on their process to success. I can see the breakthrough moments. And I can tell you this much. Every single person that's hit Hall of Fame producer, Hall of Fame agency, that's created great success, every one of them had one transformational year. 1 year where just everything changed. Not tons of years, but that 1 year. And I also know this to be true, knowing, these years and knowing these people, is that a lot of times when they thought they were the furthest away from that breakthrough, that success, when they thought the gap was the greatest, it was the most daunting, right? They're right here and they want to travel all the way over here, and that gap seems so broad. Typically, that's the year where they were the closest to it. And I could just tell you, from myself included, I can tell you from a lot of different people that you respect, that you listen to, and that you get advice and feedback from, they would tell you the same thing. I remember with Andrew Taylor, the year where everything shifted and changed, and when he made a decision to stop spending time with certain groups of people that were really not where he wanted to go, right? And it was just kind of like time wasters. They weren't adding to him any kind of significant value to get to the next level. And I remember him shifting away from that and spending more time with people that had gone the way forward, that could show him where to step and how to step. And I remember that year. I remember how everything shifted and changed because of that. And all of a sudden, that was a pivotal year where the foundation was laid to build something great. And I just want everybody to know that this could be the year for you. What's the first step? Expect that it is. Go into it and really let go of whatever took place last year, as far as that being an indication of who you are, where you can go, and really realize that right now, today, you are the creator of this year. You can design it. You can make it. It's something you can do. In fact, the one thing that I know that is absolutely true is that we were created by a creator to create. We're the only ones that have that. Like a duck doesn't have that. A silkworm doesn't have that. A silkworm didn't wake up in 2023 and say, listen, man, like the silk, boring, like didn't lead me to fulfillment this last year. I'm going to go ahead and in 2023, I'm creating something new. Cotton poly blend. That's what I'm going to do, man. Cotton poly blend. That's what I'm going to change it up. They can't do that. They just continue to do what they've always done, right? Based off genetics, based off of instinct. That's what they do. But you were created to go out there and create. So you can literally start right now and design a completely different year. Design a completely different you. Do something completely different. And you have to be assured that that is the truth, because it is. But if you don't believe it is, and you believe that the past is just what's going to predict your future, that happened, therefore it happened again, or you don't become aware, it will repeat itself. And so I think the first step, guys, to kind of step in these years, have the expectation that it will be a big year and be aware of where you're currently at. I remember I was at a barbershop, and this was about 1.5 years ago. I was getting my hair cut, and Casey, they'll drop the chair, you know what I mean? Like sometimes, so to lower it down. So they dropped the chair, and it was sudden. And I was like, what the heck was that? Like I felt something on my side above my hip. And I thought it felt like jello or something. I was like, that's me. That's my love handle. You know what I mean? And that made me aware, something that I really wasn't aware of, right? That little jolt. It was like, okay, all right, I got to do something, right? And the funny thing is, the other day I was doing a staff meeting, and I don't know if Casey you remember this, but I was in the upstairs office, or in the conference room here. We were doing a staff meeting, and I saw my mom pacing around in the office. She was walking back and forth, and I was like, what is she doing? Well, come to find out, I got home that night and I talked to my wife. I said, she said, did you hear what your mom did? I said, no. What happened? She said she called you and it wouldn't go through. She's like, that's weird. So then she called Parker, which is my 10-year-old. She's like, it didn't go through. And then she called Peyton and it didn't go through. And then she called me and it didn't go through. And she's like, I know how important like Paul's phone is because that's what he does to build his business. I think maybe Hillary forgot to pay the phone bill. So she drove all the way over to the office, walked all the way up the stairs, which my mom's got bad knees, bad back, emphysema, equilibrium issues. And so I just see her like she looked like she just got done running a marathon. She's pacing around the office. And I told her, and she's like, well, I said, what happened? She's like, she finally realized it wasn't our phone. It was her phone that was disconnected because she's the only constant. I'm like, well, if she would have just like called somebody else or paused for a minute and said, hey, like, let me double check before I make the drive over. Let me double check before I walk all the way up the stairs and do all that. Let me just call somebody else other than the ones that are in the family, circle that are on the phone bill. And what she didn't realize is that it was her phone that wasn't working, right? And see, this is the thing. In order to make this a massive year for you, it ain't going to be anything other. It ain't going to be somebody else's situation. It ain't going to be the economic climate. It ain't going to be who's in office. It ain't going to be if this gets squared away, if that relationship gets healed. There's not conditions that are going to stop you from being successful. If you're going to be successful and make this a massive year, it's going to be 100% up to you. But you've got to be aware of what it is for you to be able to go out there and do that. And so the first step is awareness. And so one of the first practical things I can give you as we really build a framework for this year is to reflect on last year. So really to look at last year, look at your calendar, get the materials together so you can really spend some time and make that quick pause so you don't go through the whole year working on from a premise and trying to fix something that's not broken. Be aware that it's your phone, right? Be aware of what it looks like. And so the first thing is to gather some information, right? To put out all together, look at some photos, go through your calendar, right? What time how much time did you spend with certain people? What were the biggest time wasters? What were the relationships that brought you the most value? What were the relationships that took the most value from you? What was the biggest accomplishments from last year? What were the greatest lessons learned from last year? But put it together and spend some time and just reflect. Typically, when you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to become aware of things that you can change, and those changes are going to really build the roadmap to a massive year. And so I want to give you a couple things that some questions that you can ask yourself as you do this reflection. One of the things is, what was a good use of my time last year? What made that a win for me? What lessons did I learn from that? What's missing that should have been there? What's there that should not have been there, that should have been deleted? Who didn't get enough of my time? Who got too much of my time? What will I do differently this year? And then I think it's important to kind of also go through, some things that will spotlight what that year looked like. What were some big accomplishments throughout that year? What were some milestones? What were your proudest moments? What people you spent the time with, right? Including the amount of time. Like, did you spend how much time with what individuals, right? Most positive impacts, important events, top time expenditures, greatest family moments, spiritually significant times, health and fitness, personal growth, my most significant relationships, my least impactful relationships, my biggest time wasters, my greatest mistakes, my biggest missed opportunities, my financial goals and observations, my most important lesson for the year. See, when you can go through this, it's going to go ahead and spotlight things. And now that you have all this information in front of you, now you can go to work and really help put together the right plan of action going into 2023, right? Your ability to create a new year. And see, the reality is this, on all these different subjects that matter the most, where you can say at the end of the year, that was a great year. there's only a couple things that matter the most within the things that are important roles for you, right? And what I mean is this. So if we look at like the fundamental things that matter most, I would say it's probably going to be for you family. It's going to be faith. It's going to be finance. It's going to be fitness. It's going to be friendship, and it's going to be franchise, right? Your business. So I would say those are like the 6 F's that are most important to you. And so in order to say this was a great year, typically you'd go down those 6 F's and say, man, I did well with that, and I had a great year, right? And so when it comes to faith and you're putting together these clear goals, right? You've reflected, now you're putting together these clear goals. Take a look at each one of these and identify what are some goals you can put in place, right? And let's just unpack it. So maybe for faith, it's something that you're like, man, I want to be able to develop my faith in 2023. What's something you can do? What are some good goals? The few main things that will really help elevate that. Well, prayer, right? Reading the word and worshiping. Those are maybe some 3 things you could pick and say, hey, I want to get better at those. So let me now put those in my schedule. When can I put those in? What time can I do it? And start mapping out your calendar, right? Family. What are some times that you want to spend with the family? What are some important events and some dates, right? Whether it's a birthday, something that you want to go out there and do, plan that all in so that way you can see it, right? Put the most important big blocks in, first. So with the family, maybe it's, this year, I want to be more present. Maybe you're like I am, and there's been many times where I'm sitting there, having a conversation with my daughter. Maybe we're trying to play a game, Uno or something, which is what we've been doing lately. Or I'm going to read a book, something like that. And I just find myself distracted, right? In fact, I was in the jacuzzi a couple weeks back with Perle. She's my 5-year-old, and she was talking to me. I was like, "Sweetie, what did you learn today? What was something you learned? What did you love today?" It's usually what I ask them. And she's talking to me, and then I don't even realize it, but I'm looking at my phone, and she's like, "Dad, hello." Because that's just how she is, And I'm like, and she caught me, like, she was, speaking truth to me, and I'm like, "I'm sorry, sweetie." She's like, "Yeah, hello," But maybe it's being more present. Maybe it's being more present this year. Maybe it's having a family game night. Maybe it's having a family meeting where you can get together and talk about the family values, family picture of what the year looks like. Maybe it's a family focus, something that we started doing that's helped out. I need as much help as I can with the dysfunction that I've got within the family. So it's like with the kids, all the kids I've got, like we're going to pick a focus every week. And so it might be this week, our family focus is valuing people, valuing others. And so we just talk about it throughout the entire week, nonstop. I'm discussing, I'm trying to keep on the forefront of their mind, right? And maybe it's a family focus for you. Maybe that makes a big difference for the family. We just started and we're trying to see, how it's going to work. We're already seeing some value from it. Hey, the family focus this week is having an attitude of gratitude. We talk about gratitude and Thanksgiving and make that a focus throughout the week. So finance, maybe for finance, you're looking at the goals. Maybe it's to go out there and spend less, right? Maybe it's to spend less on things that matter least and start to put money where things that would show the priorities of your year, whether that's investing in your business because you want to build a business. Maybe that's investing in others, right? Maybe it's giving back and serving and generosity to others. Maybe that's tithing. Maybe this is a year where you're like, man, on my finances, I'm going to trust God. I'm actually going to test him like he says, and I'm going to test him in this, and I'm going to tithe 10% and see if it is true. See if what God says is absolutely true, if it is, to see if I can give him the 10%. If he can take my 90% further, then I could take the 100% on my own. I'm gonna give that a shot. Maybe that's what it looks like this year. Franchise. So business. And I use franchise because it gave me another F. So I could have 6 F's here. All right. But franchise, your franchise. Maybe it's to sell more. Maybe it's to recruit more. Maybe it's to promote more. Maybe this year, like, man, I'm going to go out there and sell more to build my business because it's going to give me more cash flow. I'm going to recruit more. I'm going to be more consistent. I'm going to recruit my clients. I'm going to talk to my clients about it. I'm going to send DMs consistently every single day. I'm going to talk to the people in my sphere of influence nonstop about it. I'm going to talk to my people on my team about talking to people that they know and getting them to develop some of these recruiting disciplines that will lead to future fruit down the road. I'm going to recruit more. Maybe it's, that promote more. I'm going to get more of my agents to hop on these platforms and these calls and these podcasts and these meetings and these trainings that are going to take them to another level in their business and career. I'm going to become a really great promoter where people could say, I understand the value of that because the person that I talked to, they promoted it so well. I cannot miss that. It cost me too much to miss it. Maybe it's becoming a better promoter. Maybe it's fitness, right? Maybe it's I'm going to work out more. And maybe you do like the 75 hard or something that creates great discipline, that allows you to go out there and get your fitness and health in a better, at another level. Maybe it's personal trainer. Like maybe every year you're like, dude, I want to lose weight this year. But maybe this year, the thing that's going to really help you become, elevate in the fitness arena is to get a personal trainer. Maybe you're just lacking just a little accountability. Maybe it's just that one little thing. I mean, that's the one thing I think, most people, don't realize is that you're so close. There's just a couple tweaks to get to the level that you want to get to, right? Maybe it's intermittent fasting. That's what I did like a year and a half ago. I was like, I don't get it. Like I'm eating better, working out more, I'm still gaining weight. Like what's going on? And I did some research. I'm like, I'm gonna give it a shot. I didn't think I was possible because if I didn't eat, I was used to drinking protein shakes at 4:30 in the morning, then going to the gym. I'm like, if I don't eat before I work out, I'm gonna die. Like I feel like I get lightheaded. I was like, I got glucose issues, and I realized that wasn't true. After I started doing it, it worked out great. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's no sweets for 30 days. I don't know. But what does it look like for you? Friendship. How do you develop more relationships? I mean, I could tell you this much. Like a great year, a fulfilled year, a year even whether it's with clients, with agents, with people in your community, friendship's a big deal, right? And so what does that look like? Maybe you take some people out for dinner. You develop, spend some time there. Maybe it's a note of appreciation. Maybe just once in the morning, every morning, or maybe it's once a week. You pick somebody and you just spotlight something that you want to kind of say, hey, I value you here. I'm a better version of myself because of what you do here. I noticed you did this and it made me feel good. I appreciate you doing this. What, just some kind of spotlight to really say, hey, I value you. I value this friendship. I value who you are, to highlight somebody. So I think those are some things that will kind of help. For me, I go through those roles. Once I've got those roles, then I start to put together those goals, right? I start to put together clear goals for that. Now, the thing is this, it's important to write the goals down. See, and I wrote this down because I was like, this is not fake. This is a real stat. So I'm going to tell you. Dr. Gail Matthews, a psychology professor at Dominican University, found that people who write down goals are 42% more likely to do them. She also found that if we write your goals down and tell a friend what you're attempting to achieve, the likelihood you will achieve your goals increases to 78%. So think about that. Most people would say, if I'm at the end of the year, looking back, if I achieve these goals, it could really, not to be cliche, it could transform my life if I could achieve these goals. Well, if it's that important, do you think it's important enough if the stat goes up 42% if you write it down? If it's life-changing and the odds of a life-changing event goes up 42% to write it down, would it be important to write it down? What about to tell somebody? You say, who do I tell? Tell your friend, tell your family, tell everybody, right? If it goes up to 78% higher chance, that's a big deal. And that's some good odds. You put that on blackjack, dude, I'm all in. I'll refinance a house, sell a kid, and we'll go all in and put it on blackjack. I mean, like, that's a lot. So what does that look like, right? Write it down, tell somebody about it, right? And now I think this is also important. So you've got the goals down. Maybe it's I want to go out there and hit Hall of Fame. Maybe it's I want to go out there and have my business doing X amount. Okay. Once you do that, you want to reverse engineer it. Work it backwards. Okay. If you want to be a Hall of Fame producer, how many families do you got to serve a month? Is that 35 families? Well, then how many families does that look like a week? And then how many leads do you got to pick up to help one family? And then work that backwards. Well, I got to get this many leads to help this many families. And if that's the case, well, how many leads do you need to pick up, right? You can reverse engineer the seat. For any of you that started in 2022, you've got a ratio. You've got the ratio by looking at your stats, by going back to square one, like we said, and reflecting. Write down how many dials does it take to book an appointment? Out of how many appointments do you have to book to sit with X amount of families? Do you got to book 3 to sit with 1? What does that ratio look like? Of how many you sit with or have an appointment with, how many do you close? So once you've got that, you can reverse engineer it, know exactly what to invest in leads to hit your goal. You can now project it. You can scale it because you could just say, hey, if I'm helping 5 families a week, I need to help 10. Well, now you got your ratio, you can double it up. And also, by the way, guess what you're not accounting for? The fact that you're going to get better, right? So if you have that reverse engineering, you've got the framework, you got the everything dialed in, the game plan, the strategy. Well, what you're not going to account for is maybe by the third month in, you're like, man, I'm pacing better than my goal. By the 6th month in, you're crushing it. Well, why? Because you've gotten better. And so reverse engineer it. And then once you've done that, guys, I think the thing that most people miss, I know I've missed it before, is sitting there thinking like, okay, who do I need to become to achieve these goals, right? I remember like, so for me, I had growing up, I had like my grandma, my aunt, a lot of times they'd say, man, you're such a good salesperson. And I remember them telling me that. And so I think by default, when I got into a sales position, as bad as I was convinced I was going to be good because of what was spoken over me. Now, on the business side of it, I never had anybody show me how to go out there and build a big business. I had nobody describe or talk to me about taking risk, investing big. I had nobody talking to me about that. So I had these negative beliefs about what I could do on the business side that weren't true, but because I believed it, it affected me as if it was true, which was, it's one of the same. And so what mattered, what really helped me out was identifying, okay, if I want my business here, who do I need to be to get a business to that level? Like, what does that look like? Well, I need to be more disciplined. I need to be more structured. I need to be more intentional, right? I need to be more focused. And if that's the case, then let me go ahead and put down some goals like that. Those are who goals. So I'd write down like, I declare this year to be disciplined, focused, motivated, take risk, and work hard. And I start to say that over and over again. Today, man, I declare that I'm a person that will be disciplined, that will take risk, that will work hard. And that's going to be a successful business owner. And so after a while, what it did is every morning it served as a healthy reminder of who I needed to be to achieve these goals. And then I started visualizing, I started seeing myself in that way. Now, the reality is this, once you know who you are, it's easy to know what to do. So if you're the person that takes risk and you're going into this day and you're like, man, I got to invest in leads. I know I got to pick up $1,000 in leads, right? And you're nervous. You're like shaking, like, I don't know, because what if it doesn't work? And you got all these negative thoughts. Well, hey, who are you? Who's the person that goes out there and builds a big business, that sells a lot? They take risks. So you hit the button, right? Because it's easier to do what you know to do when you know who you are. And so put together some who goals. What are the who goals that are going to help you identify yourself with the person that you need to be to succeed? And the clearer you have that in your mind, the more likely you are to act in accordance. I've heard this many different times, and I see it to be true in every area of my life, that I cannot tell the difference. A lot of times your body can't tell the difference between what you imagine and what you experience. So you can either live by the experience of the last year, of the past, or in your mind, you can start to imagine the year you want to have, the year that you need to have, the person you need to be in that year to see success. And if you can do that over and over and over again through repetition, well, you really don't know the difference. So you start to go to work to make that picture that's so vivid, so clear in your mind, really come to pass. But you got to rehearse it. You got to know it. I remember this story about these nurses that were in what is it called? The NICU. Yep. I was definitely gonna mess that up. The NICU. So, which I should know because I've got tons of kids. But they were walking by, and this nurse, she notices that this baby doesn't look normal. Like, she notices something's off, and she says, this baby's got like, there's some kind of like, infection going through the baby. You need to check them out. And so they check the baby out, and come to find out, she was right. And the baby was going to die if she didn't stop, pause, and say, that doesn't seem right. And so when interviewed, they're like, how did you know that the baby, there was something off? Because everybody, to most nurses, they looked like the baby was fine. She said, well, I noticed that the baby had, kind of like a blotch of blood, not just a dot. I noticed that the stomach was kind of protruding more. And, but they said, those are so small. How did you notice that? She said, well, I've got such a vivid picture in my mind of what a perfect baby, healthy baby should look like. When I walk by one that doesn't fit that picture, all of a sudden, boom, these red flags go off, and I go to work searching for, ways to find out how to justify that it is the case. And see, if we can do that with this year, as being a top producer, as a business owner, a person that's recruiting people, where you know vividly what it looks like, right? You see yourself as that. Man, you're consuming tons of podcasts and training and audios where you're seeing the right picture of the top producer. You're seeing the behaviors of what they do, the behaviors of the agency managers. It's so vivid, you're seeing it. And if you can do that, then when you go to work and something stands out to you, like you're not looking to invest in leads, or you don't show up to the office, all of a sudden red flags go up and say, no, that's not you. Because you've heard it over and over and over again that top producers, they get on the Zooms to dial. The top producers, they plug into the office to dial. The top producers, they call and ask questions. The top producers, they take accountability and responsibility. They look for good feedback. The top producers, they have diversity in lead flow, and they never blame the leads. They're always looking at how can I tweak, adjust, and get better. The top producers, they do this. And so it's so vivid that when you're getting ready to behave or to think in such a way that's out of alignment with that picture, you want to have red flags start to fire off. And so that way it gets you back on point and say, no, this is what I got to do. This is where I want to go. This is how I got to do it. And so it's so important to really kind of have that. I think that when you take a look at, the things that matter really most going into 2023, the goals are going to make a big difference. Knowing who you are is going to make a big difference. I think we look at like, what's the biggest thing that could, I guess, distract you, right? To take you off that track to where you want to go, to pull you away from that track. I think the biggest thing is going to be certain things like, it could be other people's voices. It could be your own little voice in your head that says this is not going to work out. It ain't going to happen. It could be comparing to other people. And wow, look at that I must not be that good because, man, it's 30 days in. That person already helped 40 families. My goal was 40. I only helped 17. Like, that must be a clue that I ain't any good. Those kind of things will distract you. And if your attention gets pulled into those areas, you're set up for failure. So the goal is to make sure that you can be aware and pre-decide when those things take place that you're not going to stay distracted. You're going to say, not now, right? And you're going to get right back on task. I think, and I know for myself, the weeks, the months, or if I look at a year that was a worse year, as far as fulfilling me accomplishing and me being the person I think God has really called me to be, the worst year was a year where I was just task switching. And you know what I'm talking about, like where you're just moving from one thing to the next. All of a sudden you get distracted. I do this still sometimes where I'll just think about something dumb. Like, I wonder what that is. Like, I start to explore and become like just pointless, useless things that don't matter. Even thinking about like, why does that agent not want to be successful? What does that matter? Let me just go through the numbers. Why is that client hanging up on me? What does it matter? Just go through the numbers. But like just getting on these rabbit trails. I mean, I remember like my phone going off, and I went to high school with this guy named Jeff, and somehow I ended up on his Facebook page. So it popped up, said he was running for like some office. I'm thinking like, what the heck? Jeff's running for office? So I started looking into it, and now I'm thinking like, well, I'm a loser. I'm over here building an insurance business. This dude's like running for office. You know what I mean? And I start comparing, and then before you know it, I'm like on his cousin's, sister's, ex-girlfriend's, like baby mama's page, and I'm like, where am I at? Looking at stuff. It's just distraction, right? And it's so easy. We got to make sure that whenever we get pulled, that you say, not now, and you go right back to it. Something that helped me was just saying like, hey, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then go into whatever I needed to do. That way I wouldn't get caught in some thought process or something that was pulling or just taking me away from the track that I needed to be on, right? And so I think that's essential. The one thing that I think has made probably one of the biggest differences for me as well to make sure that the year will be a successful year is to have clear consequences, right? Meaning that if you start looking at small victories, at the end of the day, if you did what you said you were going to do, man, that's a small victory, right? That's an accomplishment. Look at your activity goals and start to stack some wins, right? And then if you say, hey, if I hit my goal for these 3.5, 4 weeks straight. Then I'm gonna take 2 days and go do this or go travel here. And I remember doing those things. And I told my wife, like, hey, this is a goal. If I don't hit it, I'm gonna work on Sunday. Well, guess what? I didn't want to work on that on a Sunday. My wife didn't want me to work on Sunday. So I was a lot more disciplined in those other days, so I didn't have to, because I knew if I didn't do it, I was going to force myself to endure that consequence, because that was more important than anything else, me actually saying what I was going to do, and I was going to do it, right? If I didn't hit it, I was going to put myself through that and work Sunday. Now, if I hit it, and this goes back to like day one of the business, and I didn't grow up, we couldn't go out to eat ever. And I was like, babe, if I hit my goal, we're going to go to Applebee's. And she's like, really? Because she grew up, dad was a gardener. We didn't have no money either. So we go to Applebee's on Sunday. We thought we were high rolling. And then as we kept building the business and moving forward with this consequence, philosophy in place, where we'd reward ourselves if I did what I was supposed to do, and I would consequence myself and have to go, pay the price if I didn't. That looked like down the road, like, hey, we'll spend 3 days going to the Ritz-Carlton Laguna. And just identifying like, hey, we're out there creating something. We're going after something. Teaching myself that, hey, we're going to go out there and we're going to be able to earn, 7 figures. We're going to do these things, and starting to step into that and having these little consequences. It kept me moving throughout it. I think it's important for everybody to do is to have those things set up throughout the year. The big thing also is put yourself in a position where you're more likely to do the things that you need to do that will take you to the next level. Like putting yourself in an environment where it's easier to say yes to the things that need to be said yes to this year, and no to the things that need to be said no to. And that's simply an environment where there's other people just focused, engaged, getting after it. Because now it's hard to say yes to the social media distraction. It's hard to say yes to something that pops in your head, like, let me go do this, let me go, explore here or whatever. It's easier to say, I can't do that. You want to put yourself in good peer pressure environments. Like when you look at these lock-ins, they've been working in a phenomenal way, because you go into these places and like for the first time maybe ever, like you've got a highly productive day, because you got this person making sales over the phone, you got this person doing it, and you're sitting there thinking like, I'm not the only one that's not going to be doing this. So then you start to form the right disciplines because of the environment that's put in place. See, I remember going to Lake Arrowhead, and I had all my kids, and we were walking by, and there was a goldfish that was like, it was huge. I mean, the goldfish looked like it was the size of, like a 5-year-old kid. I mean, it was massive. And my daughter's like, that's a goldfish, Dad? I'm like, yeah. She's like, it's huge. And the reason why it was so big is because Lake Arrowhead is like 100-some feet deep. I mean, it's massive. And what I was explaining to her is that the goldfish will grow to the size of its environment. And see, we're the same way. But if the environment that we're in is set to distract us, it's set to tell us that, hey, you're not really that successful, just look around. Like it's set to continue down these same old patterns and habits that have got us to where we were at in 2022, we're not going to grow to the fish size that you can be. You're not going to grow the business to where it could be. But if you put yourself in these offices and work environments where you can get around people, and you're in an environment that's of big thinkers, big talkers, like it's set at a big success, well, you're going to get bigger, right? And so for me, I wanted to put myself in a position, man, that like I know I've got a seed in me to go out there and be great. You have got a seed in you to be great. The goal is, if you put yourself in an environment that's like you walk in and Miracle Grow is getting thrown at you, right? Like fertilizer, and it's like now it's got a better chance to grow to new heights, opposed to staying in environments where it's dark, it's cascaded, it's shaded, and you can't get the sunlight, the nutrients to really grow into what you can grow into. This is catalytic to making this a massive year, is the environment that you place yourself in. It's huge. It's massive. And so as we look at going into, 2023, guys, to sum this up, like, man, believe that this will be your year. Set the expectation that this is a year that will be transformative to the rest of your life. Like, this is a year it happens. Spend some time reflection and take a look at last year. A year that's not reflected, that's not interrogated. It's not a life that's worth living. You got to interrogate it. You got to look at it. You got to learn from it, man. Take what 2022 taught you, that's given you to take. So reflect. come up with some clear goals, some very clear goals, some goals of what you want to accomplish, reverse engineer it, put together some good who goals, who you need to be, create the mental picture of what the success will look like in all these areas that matter the most in 2023. Keep that picture in your mind so vividly because you're consuming so much good stuff that it's just a part of you. You just start to believe like, hey, this is more familiar to move towards that in faith than to be pulled by the feelings of the past. Be pulled by faith, not by feelings, because it's so vivid, right? Take or put together good structure, put together a good game plan throughout your schedule. Look at small victories throughout the day. Have clear consequences day in and day out. Put yourself in the right environment. And guys, if you do this, I promise you, as you step into this year, it could be massive. We've got the training. You got the podcast. As far as elevating your business game, it's all out there. But it's up to you to make sure it's planned. Show yourself that you're all in this year. You say, Paul, how do I do that? Don't miss any podcasts. Take notes when you get on it. Don't just listen to it kind of like just laissez-faire. It is what it is. If you go on as if it's just no big deal, you'll get no big deal results, no big deal information from it. But if you go in with the expectation, intention that, man, everything I'm listening to when it comes to people that have gone the way before, I'm going to take notes, right? Pay attention throughout the day. You know, how did you behave? What did it look like? You know, make this a commitment that, hey, everything I do, I'm going to cast a vote for myself that says I'm the all-in version of myself in 2023, right? What does that look like? I'm at the office first. I'm at the office last. I'm investing more in resources. I'm talking to everybody about it. I can't help but think about this. Make it where you're just so in it. It's one thing to be in the business, man. Make this the year where the business is in you. I remember going to church for many years and being so consumed with this business that when I'm taking notes in church, I look at the end and it's all related to the business. Like, how can I use this in my business? Now, I don't know if that's good or bad. We'll figure out when I go to heaven. But it's all I thought about. It's all I thought about. It was nonstop. Guys, make this an all-in year. Make this the year that everything changes. And if you do, you will see a transformed year that will transform your life. So, guys, make it a massive week. Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment below. We got the lead drawing that's getting ready to take place, and share this, right? If you want to make a difference in somebody's life, sometimes a simple share of a message that might lay the, water the seed that they've got to elevate to where they want to go and level up their life. So guys, make it a massive week. Let's make it a massive year. Be strong, stay steadfast, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
What's going on, everybody? You know what time it is. It's time to give away some leads. If you commented on last week's video, which is playing right over here, you're automatically entered to win $250 worth of free leads. So comment on this video right now so you can win next week. Without further ado, let's see who our 4 winners are. Winner number 1 is Natalie K. Fire, love it. Winner number 2 is Prim Group, greatest time to make it happen. Winner number 3 is Scott Burness, good stuff. And winner number 4 is Vanessa Figura, great tips. Can't wait to see my business grow with helping and serving families. Guys, it's that simple. With it now being 2023, Happy New Year, everybody. Congratulations, winners. You're the first winners of 2023. So, contact Victoria. Her email is going to be right over here. Guys, it's that simple. Leave a comment, get some leads, write some business, help some families, all right? Let's make it a big week, make it a big year, and we'll see you next week. Take care.